As we go into 2021, the Tesla Model Y has certainly been introduced with many updates. Although we've been hearing about many updates to come, there are now confirmed updates that we're starting to see float around online. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. So last night, the Kilowatt on Twitter did post some pictures and a quick little video showing the heated steering wheel is now present in the US Tesla Model Y. What's really interesting about this particular car is he is sitting inside of a standard range Tesla Model Y, which was just announced a week ago. There's actually two things that I find interesting about this. Number one, finding the heated steering wheel in the most economy version of the Tesla Model Y, which would of course suggest that heated steering wheel is for sure coming to all models. The other thing that's interesting about this is when Tesla did officially launch the standard range rear-wheel drive Model Y, it had a delivery time frame of 2 to 5 weeks. Now, that would only be accurate if they already had some in production or it was going into production imminently. Well, it turns out it was going into production imminently. Here we are with our first Tesla Model Y standard range that we're seeing pictures of. We've also seen reports from reservation holders who received notification within days that their standard range Tesla Model Y was to be delivered. There was at least one account where the order was placed on Friday and by Sunday they had a VIN number. So this heated steering wheel that we've been hearing about for so long is finally spotted in the wild. Now the interesting thing is Tesla's website still does not reflect that there's a heated steering wheel in any of the Tesla Model Ys here in North America. However, we have been talking about that steering wheel was updated not that long ago. So as we've been saying for some time, it does appear that a software update will be all that's required to turn on this capability. Now, during the holiday software update that we were anticipating big things, that ended up not getting rolled out. We had kind of anticipated that this update to version 11 software would indeed come with the heated steering wheel being added to existing Model Ys with that updated steering wheel. That said, we have not seen a single long-range all-wheel drive or performance Model Y with a heated steering wheel on the display. So that would suggest the software in the standard range Model Y does indeed include the heated steering wheel, and that software will be rolled out across the fleet very soon. It'll be interesting to see which one of you have that heated steering wheel and if it is indeed every car with that updated steering wheel. Only time will tell, and hopefully this update comes anytime now. Of course, we're all eagerly waiting to find out when indeed that heated steering wheel was introduced into the Tesla Model Y. The other thing is the interior does appear to be exactly the same otherwise in the standard range Model Y. So there's no updates that we've seen across a number of other cars globally. The car still has that standard center console and the side doors have not changed. Of course, when Tesla makes updates, they roll these out over time and they're not stuck to any time frame like traditional manufacturers are. They just roll these things out as it seems fit, and we should start to see these updates anytime now, especially that new interior in the Tesla Model Y. In addition, we did see pictures of what is confirming to be the one-piece casting in the Tesla Model Y. There was a Tesla Model Y owner who was doing some modifications and in tearing out the interior of his Tesla Model Y, discovered that he indeed had the full casting in the rear of his car. Now, this user does state that he took delivery on December 23rd, and it was a VIN number in the 97,000. Other than that, we don't have other specific details of build date. However, that should be a good benchmark for understanding when this casting at minimum started rolling out. Tesla has shared a picture of the one-piece casting and it is enormous. Taking a look at this thing, it is way bigger than I had anticipated. Of course, we've seen models and mock-ups of what this casting is going to look like, but actually seeing it is rather impressive. As you can see, it's not only covering the entire rear of the car, but it does start to move up the side of the car as well. Now, this one-piece casting does bring on some benefits. Number one, a reduction in SKUs. So by having less parts, it's going to reduce the cost of making this car. In addition, there's going to be strength added because there's less parts that are interacting with each other. And then finally, there is a weight savings by having this one-piece casting over all those other parts put together. So all these things will lead to the next generation Tesla Model Y that we anticipate coming first at Giga Berlin. And then a year or two later, we should start to see that here in the North American market. So this is all great news as we're starting to see these new updates trickling out from Tesla. And then finally, we recently saw updates out of China for the China Tesla Model Y. The China Tesla Model Y does appear to have all the updates that we anticipate to see here in North America. The biggest notable change is this new interior. Although we anticipated a new center console at any time now, this new interior does have more than just a new center console. So here we see the new center console, but in addition, the design on the dashboard is wrapping itself all the way around across the doors. This is a new look and a new design that looks pretty fresh on the inside. Nothing substantial or crazy, just some minor tweaks that look pretty nice. Other than that, the interior is basically the same. Of course, it does feature that heated steering wheel, and in addition, it does have those new headlights that we heard about not that long ago. These new headlights are at a higher spec and are in support of the global market. Here in the United States, the standard that is set for headlights is much lower than it is in markets like Europe. These new headlights are going to be really nice to have, and we're starting to see those already in the Model 3. So that appears to be now rolling its way out across and into the Model Y as well. Of course, the Tesla Model Y in China did just recently roll out, and with that, they introduced a more economy version over in China. After the Model Y release in China, they did sell out in just a few days. I believe all the initial deliveries have already been accounted for, as they sold upwards of 100,000 cars in just a couple of days. It's probably no surprise as the size of this car is really good. For most markets across the world, this is a great size car, and although here in the United States would probably lend itself on the smaller end of the market, everywhere else in the world this is a very popular size car. And then of course finally we have the other major update that happened just recently. Of course I'm talking about the 7-passenger 3-row Tesla Model Y. In the user guide there is now video available showing the function of this third row. This is really good video that shows how you're going to get in and out, how this seat is going to fold and be brought up, and it's providing a lot of imagery showing exactly what this third row is going to look like. Of course, this is almost identical to the one that we saw during the launch event. Now, one of the things we weren't sure about is how this is going to fold necessarily. Well, now that's been answered. You can fold this third row by buttons on the actual seats, unlike the second row, which is done by buttons in the rear of the car. Now, what's nice is when you watch this video, it is confirming something that we talked about on this channel was that second row was likely going to be able to scoot forward in a permanent position. This allows for additional room for the third row, and it appears that that is now the case. Additionally, these seats do pivot all the way forward and up in order to give somebody the ability to climb into that rear third row. Another nice addition is having those charging ports in the back for cell phones and iPads for young ones that would be sitting back there. And then finally, we're seeing the other difference here between this and the 5-passenger Tesla Model Y. The side molding in the back of this car is now made to accommodate arms, as we would have expected. But other than that, here's the interesting thing. When you look at this car, and until we see this in person, we're not going to know for sure, but these seats appear to take up the space of that front storage compartment in the back. This is a really shallow area that doesn't offer a lot of space. It's just about enough room to put your charging cables and maybe some very small items other than that. What's good about that is if indeed the footprint of this is just that front compartment, you still have that massive storage compartment all the way in the rear of the car. So what that means is by getting these 7-row, although you're spending $3,000 to get it, you're not going to be sacrificing a lot of space to do it. In fact, when these things are folded down, the only thing you're losing on space is that miniature storage compartment in the very back. It appears that that major storage compartment and then of course the 2 side pockets are also still there. So you're not really losing out on a lot of space. Now that gives you the flexibility of being able to bring a couple more people along in a pinch, or if you have very small children. But here's the catch. Looking at this and the space that's available, you are not going to be able to fit a normal car seat in the back of this car. With that said, that kind of limits who's going to be able to fit back here. And there's a really narrow window of age that's likely going to be a good candidate for sitting in the very back of this car. It's it's probably not going to be very good space for most people. It certainly doesn't appear that an adult's going to be able to fit back there, so this is going to be children. That is, children without a car seat. So it should be interesting to see how this thing all pans out when we see one in person, and I certainly can't wait to get my hands on this 7-passenger Model Y to take a look for myself. So those are the major updates that we know about for sure that are coming, and it's exciting to see that that heated steering wheel is finally present on a car here in North America. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.